Okay, good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for joining us today. I'm Steve Collins. So on behalf of the Westmar Alumni and Friends Association, I want to welcome you all to this dedication of the Wernli Plaza and this magnificent sculpture that Terry Utash has given us. So we're going to have a short program here. We're going to have Dick Kirchoff is going to welcome you all, our mayor. And then Al Mazer, who started this whole thing off, I had this crazy idea to put a sculpture of an eagle up here. He's going to talk about that. And then I'm going to talk about why we're dedicating it to Jacob Wernli. And then I'm going to close out with giving credit to all the folks that made this possible.
Thank you very kindly, Steve. Can you hear out there all right? Okay. I'll tell you what, it's really an honor and especially a pleasure as your mayor for being a part of this program because it's so special. I'd like to welcome the residents and also the visitors for this dedication of this beautiful, unique work of piece of art that's here. I want to personally congratulate and recognize the sculptor himself, namely Terry Utash, who spent 2 full years or nearly 2 years on this project. Terry, would you stand and let's give him a round of Lamar's welcome applause. I want to thank the Westmar Alumni and Friends Association for raising funds to make this a reality for Westmar Memorial Park. I want to share with you what I think this means to the city of Lamars. I don't care where you went and what you did, but if you said you were from Lamars, Iowa, they'd say, the first thing they'd say, oh, that's where Westmar College is at. And I've traveled many, many miles all across the United States, and that's the first thing they always said when I said I was from Lamars. That's where Westmar College. It's been known for a long time. This eagle sculpture is such a great tribute to Westmar, and particularly its fundraiser, Jacob Wernli, something we'll never forget. I also want to share something else that about a year ago this time, what was happening was we kicked what we call our tourism program up a notch. And what was happening was Wells, of course, Wells Enterprises, on tour buses that was coming through, they'd stop and eat their ice cream and then leave town. And I said a year ago, I said, if there's ever a good time to start kicking this thing up a notch, it's now. And that's because the Brown family has also joined us here in Lamars. And so we put together a program to, kick this tourism program up. And I got to share with you that we've had over 50 buses last year from July through January through December on a new tourism program. And the reason I mention this is because one of the hottest spots on what we offer for these bus tours or people that come through is a Veterans Park here. And I'm here to tell you this is going to match or fit right into it. It's just I didn't know, you'd think it was planned, but it wasn't. And so we really appreciate that. Example, last Tuesday, we had a bus load in from Buena Vista College or Buena Vista Hospital in Storm Lake, Iowa, 56 people. And so we got a good chance to put a first run on this and talk about this eagle and Westmar College, why it was there. I was here when the sculpture was installed, and last week, and I want to congratulate or send some congratulations also, goes out to the Gus Peck Finance Manufacturing, or Gus Peck Manufacturing Company, namely Chris Collins and Greg Collins and all their employees for the wonderful job they did in erecting this sculpture. In closing, on behalf of the City of Lamars, we want to thank you for making this historical moment a part of Lamars, Iowa. Thank you very much.
Okay, next we'll have Al Mazer speak to us.
Okay, well, what a beautiful day. Could be a little warmer maybe, but I like it. I like this beautiful eagle. What a great job Terry did on it. But before I start, though, I want to acknowledge one guy, my friend Rich Schultz. I run a lot of my ideas by Rich, and he said, well, there's one guy that could really do something for you as far as commemorating Westmar College. Because Rich had a whole lot to do with this Veterans Park behind us. So he said, Terry could do an eagle, and that gave me the idea, and I kind of went from there. So this occasion, thank you much, Rich, for giving me some ideas on the eagle idea. Going forward, I'd like to reflect a little bit on my past. I was happy to be on the chairman of the board of the Westmar for a number of years, but I had a chance to go over the history of the college. And Westmar is a proud school, been a wonderful school. It's a wonderful thing to have part of our community. And I grew up in a little town of Holstein. Actually, my family farmed. And one thing my dad always kept telling me when I stayed out late with the guys and couldn't get up at 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning and go out to the farm was, if you're going to hoot with the owls, you'll never soar with the eagles. So he said that 100 times, and it's still up here in my psyche. But then I think about Westmar and the years that transpired over Westmar's history, and encapsulating it. During the Vietnam era, Westmar was really was soaring like an eagle over Lamars. We had students all over town staying in people's basements and in their home, in their guest rooms. I think the enrollment was something to maybe 12 or 1,300 children. And then the eagle was soaring beautifully. So then we went on for a few years, and of course the college was affiliated with the Evangelical United Brethren Church. And somewhere in the hierarchy of the church, they decided they wanted to merge with the Methodist Church, which is a much larger denomination. Well, that was a good idea, and it went forward. The idea was pretty good, but when it transpired, the Methodists have 5 schools in Iowa, and one of them only 20 miles from here, being Morningside. And you would think that they would merge Westmar and Morningside, but that never got legs. It never went forward. So Westmar struggled on its own up against these other 5 Methodist schools and also the other colleges its size. Sometimes got a little difficult. Finances were a little difficult. And actually, we're kind of hooting with the owls, using that expression. So time does march on. And then during my tenure as board chairman, Art Richardson was the president of the college. And Art and I became very close friends. And he came to the bank one day and he said, I met 2 guys down in Kansas or wherever on his fundraising efforts. And he said, one's a lawyer and the other one's an accountant. And they had a connection in Japan with a college called Teikyo University. So he brought the idea to us. We presented it to the board, gave him some ideas, and maybe we should give this serious thought. So we went ahead and decided that Fay Wells, who was a board of trustee member, Art Richardson, and myself as chairman, and then we hired a Japanese interpreter from Omaha, and we went to Tokyo to explore the idea. We got to Tokyo, we met Dr. Okanaga, who was the principal owner of Teikyo University. And Teikyo was quite a school in Japan, but he had this dream, of a global university. And part of the dream was locating some colleges in the United States, as well as in Europe and elsewhere. By the way, Teikyo University is still alive and well today. I pulled them up on Google the other day. They have 20,000 children. They have most of their children are not children, their students are Japanese, but they still are in other places around the world, but not in Iowa, of course. Well, anyway, then that went along very well, but somewhere along the line, something happened, something about the accreditation. I never did get that picture quite clear, but Dr. Okanaga lost face. And the word came back to Westmar that he wanted to disassociate himself with the university. And it didn't take but a year or two, and that transpired. Well, suddenly Westmar's back kind of hooting with the owls. And that transition ended up with the demise in, I think it was 1997, when Westmar finally closed its doors. A sad day for Westmar and for Lamar's and for the whole area. But anyway, now, today, 20 years later, 2017, on this beautiful day, we now have the eagle soaring over Lamar's again, thanks to your efforts, Terry. That magnificent creature is going to be here, is going to memorialize the university. And I think for time immemorial, Lamar's will always remember Westmar College. Well, thanks for the Westmar Alumni Association. They put this project together. And thank you to for your efforts of getting the fundraiser put together. And well, actually, you headed up the whole campaign. You deserve a lot of credit. And thank you all for being here today, and thank you guys for a job well done. Here we go.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Very good. Okay, so I'm going to talk now about Jacob Wernli and why we think it's appropriate that this be dedicated to him. First, I'd like to introduce my lovely wife, Barbara, who is Jacob Wernli's great-granddaughter. She was at Westmar. Thank you. She's a Westmar grad, and she was always proud that Wernli Hall on campus was dedicated to her, was named after her great-grandfather to honor him. And she took great pride in that because she knew through the family lore that he had started the school and had put his own money and a lot of effort into launching that school. It's something that the whole family was very proud of. So, of course, when they had to demolish Wernli Hall, she was a little more than distraught. I think we managed to get Judge Neary to rescue a brick that he sent out to us. So that's all we had, and that really wasn't enough to memorialize that. So when we moved back to Lamar's 3 years ago, we discovered that the WAFA was looking to replace the gazebo that had been on this site, and so we jumped in on that and joined the effort. And it didn't take much discussion between us. We both came to the conclusion that this was just meant to be, that we should play a major role in this, and that we should dedicate it to the memory of her great-grandfather. So this unique individual was born in Switzerland in 1828. He was a very gifted student. He trained to be a teacher, and he taught in Switzerland for a couple of years. Then, like many of his countrymen at the time, they decided that they want to go to America, this land of opportunity, and pursue their pursuits there. So in 1855, he immigrated to Wisconsin. And he came into the country with $88 to his name, a wife, and I think 2 children or so at the time, and he didn't speak English. So he started with his farming background and worked as a day laborer at a farm. Within a couple of years, he had saved enough money to buy his own farm, and within 3 years, he felt confident enough in his command of English to return to his profession of teaching. So he rose through the ranks there, was a principal of schools in Wisconsin, a superintendent of county schools, and in fact, in 1866, when Wisconsin established its very first teacher training school, state teacher training school, they called on Jacob to be its principal. So that school, founded in 1866, is still in existence as University of Wisconsin Plattsville campus, and it has a very strong program in education. So after the Plattsville experience, he moved to Galena, Illinois, where he's principal of a normal school there. Took a break from teaching, and for a couple of years, he settled in Chicago and ran a bookstore and stationery store. Well, he got tired of the city life, and he moved west again, this time landing in this new community of Lamar's in 1875, just 6 years after it was founded. And he was principal of the city schools, and eventually he wound up being for, I think, at least 8 years, the superintendent of the county schools. And on 2 occasions, he was nominated but never served to be the state superintendent of schools. In addition, he continued this passion for teacher training, and he ran, by one account I read, 150 teacher institutes, which I interpret as being short courses or seminars throughout the whole state to train teachers. In fact, he even lobbied the state legislature to establish a teachers college in Lamars, following the model of Plattsville, Wisconsin. He wasn't successful in that, so he scraped together all his funds, and he established his own normal school, the Northwestern Normal School and Business College. And the initial site was on the site of the former Thorne Hall, just behind you over there. So he ran that school for 4 years before he retired. And that school became Western Union, Westmar, all the variations of Westmar that we know through the years. And so he really launched this 110-year era of higher education in Lamars. And he started at a formative time for the university, for the community. And so that, as Al alluded to, it really set the tone for the community and made a great contribution to the community and to the lives of many people. And that the fact that so many of you have shown up here to celebrate this with us is a testament to that. So we're very proud to offer this sculpture and the setting as a memorial to Professor Jacob Wernli. So now I want to talk about all the people that made this possible. And of course, starting with Al and his crazy idea, and of course Terry, you just can't say enough about Terry. I've watched his artistry skill and unflagging effort over these 2+ years, and it's really been my great honor and pleasure to watch you put this together, Terry. Appreciate that very much. Of course, I appreciate my wife Barbara, whose determination to honor her grandfather, a really great-grandfather, really drove this whole project to a successful conclusion. I had the privilege of working with a small group of people, the Eagle Project Committee. We were all of us pretty new to this. We're very new to this kind of the scope of fundraising and this type of public work, but it was a real pleasure to work with them. Besides myself and Barbara and Al, included Corey Eisenbrand, Janice Quaker, Wayne Marty, and Joanne Schleich. So I'd like to give a round of applause for the Eagle Project Committee. I think that the mayor touched on this, but also my brothers Greg and Chris at Gus Pesch, they donated the workspace to Terry and the use of the facilities. And so without that very generous donation, in-kind donation, a work of this scope just could not have been done. So that was a very key contribution made to this. I want to call out a couple... I'll call out a couple other individuals at Gus Pesch. Firstly, Cal Kohler, a co-worker of Terry's. He recognized the uniqueness and importance of what Terry was doing, so he started photographing Terry and as he built the sculpture up. And he inspired me to also take pictures as I got involved in the project and to use them to keep the community up to date. And it turned out to be, I think, a very important aspect of our fundraising approach, to keep the excitement and the interest level in the progress of the sculpture going. And this also led me to enlist my good friend Tom Vance, who's videotaping this event, to use his drone to take aerial videos to document the work that we did outside preparing the site. And you'll see our work in an audio-video presentation that we'll have running at the reception after this.
I'd also like to acknowledge Roy Hodgson at Gus Pesch. I worked closely with him over these 2 years. I was very impressed with him. He oversaw our contractors, and he made key contributions of his personal time and equipment. He's a farmer after all, so he's got a lot of equipment. And to make sure we met our schedule in a timely fashion. And he also joined the Eagle Air Force and brought his own drone, and you'll see some of his photography and videography in the presentation that we'll make at the reception. Our contractors, I was very pleased with all the contractors that we had on the project. I see some of them are here, and I appreciate that they've come. John McCannon and Cody Leaners at JMAX for their concrete work. In fact, they donated the use of their crane to allow Gus Pesch to erect the steel work here. That was a very big asset to us. Ryan Campbell, is over there. Campbell Lawn and Landscape did the paver plaza and inscribed the W in it and did the plantings. Very, very nice work that should last a good long time for us. Denny Boland at Langles oversaw the electric work, and you'll have to come by the sculpture after dark and see the lighting effect. It's very, very impressive. Really makes things stand out. Finally, in terms of contractors, I want to acknowledge Hall Monument for the outstanding work they did on the granite. You have to take some time after you've looked at the Eagle, take some time to look at the granite work. I'm very proud of the information that that we were able to put on there and the way that they executed that. Very fine job. So that one of the things you'll see on that monument are the names of donors and honorees. So finally, and most importantly, I want to thank all of those who donated to this project, who had faith in us to pledge, to make their hard-earned donations. We wound up raising $66,000 for the project, which was 60% more than our budget, our plan, our initial cost estimate. And it enabled us to complete the project on time and do some upgrades in areas to make it a more lasting memorial for you all. I'm a scientist, so I'm really into numbers. You'll see on the monument, you'll see about 240 names of individuals who made donations, honoring 120 people. Those are people who donated $250 or more. We had lesser amounts, 100 people donated, honoring an additional 60 honorees. And you'll see Jan Quaker has done a fantastic job of compiling all these donations and the honorariums into a memory book, and that'll be available at the reception, and we'll be showing that on a screen. My former band director, Westmar grad, he watched that last night, and it really brought back a lot of memories to him. I think it's a big part of our celebration here. We are very grateful to the City of Lamar for a $6,000 grant that the City Council gave us. And a condition, we went to them twice. The first time, the condition was that we had to prove community involvement. And that's where I really thank all of you, because you supported this so much. You enabled us to leverage that and get and obtain the grant from the city. So that was a big plus up for us. So this whole effort has been a real testament to how important Westmar was to so many people and to this community, and how it remains to this day in people's lives an important part 20 years after closure. Now, if Wayne Marty is available, is in the house, Wayne has been very anxious to ring the bell in the bell tower. Oh, and by the way, we painted that so instead of standing out white, it blends in with the trees. So we're proud of that too. So Wayne, if you could ring in the dedication, okay.